Good afternoon. This is the Public Circle Live. Today we'll be talking about Kinder Morgan, LNG, and rental housing in British Columbia. More on that in just a minute. My name is Adam Olsen. I'm the MLA in Saanich North and the Islands. This is the Public Circle Live. The Public Circle Live is our weekly show from our constituency office here in the Landmark Building in beautiful Sidney by the Sea, where we talk about the week that was in British Columbia politics. And what a week it was in BC politics. The Public Circle is the public engagement, community outreach arm of the work that we do in our constituency office here in Sidney. Good afternoon, Cortland Bain. Good afternoon, Ace Garcia. Thank you for jumping on with us this afternoon. This is Laura Parker. Are you ready to go live, Laura Parker?
I am ready to
Let's
go
live. Okay, it's April the 13th, 2018. This is the 9th episode of the Public Circle Live. I'm having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun doing this show. In this episode, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the Kinder Morgan pipeline and some of the news. And there's been quite a bit of news that's been going on around pipelines in British Columbia, Alberta, Canada, all of the politics that's going on around that. We'll be talking about the work that Andrew, Sonia, and I were doing in the legislature in question period this week on LNG, the future of liquefied natural gas in our province. And as well, I was appointed to the Rental Housing Task Force. And we'll talk a bit about that. We have to move quickly. There's a lot to talk about. Before we do that, I just want to encourage you to share, to comment, to ask a question. Laura's got our computer. We're going to see if we can do some more questions from you, the viewers, this week. Hit the like button, show us some love, leave a comment, ask a question, do all the things that we do on social media, engage this, and share it with a friend. Maybe tag a friend in the comment section below. If you want to get a hold of us, you can. You can email us at adam.olsen.mla@ledge.bc.ca. Here, let's see if this can work. That's what it looks like. Our website is adamolsen.ca. You can find us there. You can find us on all of the social media channels right like that. You can check that out. And you can call us at 250-655-5600. We're here to serve the constituents of Saanich North and the Islands. And if there's anything that you would like to talk to us about, if you've got issues or ideas, please do engage us. Okay, I said that was going to take about 2 minutes to get through. It did take about 2 minutes to get through. Mm-hmm. Laura Parker is who?
I am thrilled to be here as Adam's outreach coordinator.
Coordinator.
Yes, engaging with volunteers in the office and putting on our in-office and community events. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be here and work for you and with you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for taking me up on the offer. Hello, Bill Burns. Hello, Laura Parker. It looks like you're watching this.
My machine just crashed, though.
That's one of those loops, you know. Hopefully you don't hear any of the feedback from that feedback loop of Laura watching a show that she's on. Anyway, just a joke. We do a lot in this constituency office. This is one aspect of it where we come, we show up live on Fridays and interact with the constituency. What are some of the other things that you've been doing as the constituency outreach coordinator?
We put on monthly community dialogues that are becoming so well attended. We have to go borrow chairs from the beautiful Saanich Oceans Center. Shout
out to them.
Yes.
Center for the Salish Sea they lend us their chairs. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so that's once a month, and it's just going wonderful. It's a great engagement for the constituents, and to be able to share their concerns along with their ideas, and to hear from each other, not just from you.
Those community dialogues, they end up being a great focus group for us in the office, in the sense that we get a chance to hear from a wide variety of people, and they can then inform how we move forward on a certain issue.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, we've put on symposiums, a larger connection with people. The first one we did was with the health services community, providers and support people, so that was terrific.
Yeah.
We also have a wonderful boardroom that public is welcome to come in and use, because it's your constituency office. So we set that up.
You can book it if you just send us an email to that email address there. You can book our boardroom, or you can book your boardroom, actually. This office is paid for by the taxpayer of British Columbia. It's your office. I am your representative, and this is not my office. This is your office, and we hope that you use it like that.
And I think a good thing to point out too is the difference that it is nonpartisan. So there's no partisan things going on in the office. So we have to ask what the groups are coming in, and making sure that it's appropriate use of taxpayers' money. That it's nonpartisan work that goes on here during and after work hours. Excellent.
So we're going to continue to do that work. Actually, tomorrow, let's give a little pitch to what's going on tomorrow morning in the office for those that are watching. And then we've got a couple of questions already. What is going on tomorrow in the office?
Tomorrow from 10 until 11:30, we have a community dialogue on agriculture. So, agriculture.
Lots of agricultural land in the riding, both on the Gulf Islands and here on the Saanich Peninsula. As a former Central Saanich councillor, I know all about the challenges that the urban landscape provides us.
I didn't know that was a term. Did you make that up?
No, I didn't actually. A UVic prof said it to me, and it explains the challenges that we have very well. We've got the rural aspects of the Saanich Peninsula and the Gulf Islands, in which there's a lot of agricultural activity, and then there's the urban aspects of it, where we've actually, from my perspective, in poor community planning, built communities right up against it, and so then we've got that challenge. We'll talk about it tomorrow. 10 a.m. Office number 215, second floor, in the 2506 Beacon Avenue. That's our office. Landmark building in beautiful. And this is a beautiful Sidney by the Sea. And I know Bill Burns asked earlier in the show if there's anything that I can do about the drizzly weather. No. Nothing. Sorry. I try to help all of my constituents out as best I can. Can't do anything about the weather. Sorry.
You would if you could.
I would. So let's talk about, we got to get moving here. Even though we're having a lot of fun. Try to keep it under 20 minutes. Going to be a challenge this week. But anyway.
Except my little computer keeps crashing.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about Kinder Morgan. That's the first item up for discussion. And what's going on with Kinder Morgan in this province and across Canada?
Big sigh. It's a big challenge. You know what? I'll say that there's been an awful lot of rhetoric, an awful lot of politics, and as Andrew Weaver, Elizabeth May, our MP here in Saanich Gulf Islands, and I were interveners. This process was not, the National Energy Board process was not a good one. And frankly, the approval, the Prime Minister called it science-based, evidence-based. In fact, there was a shocking lack of evidence, and anything that was put forward as evidence, quote-unquote, was not tested, neither by cross-examination. A lot of circular arguments made by the proponent. In fact, at one point, the proponent argued that an oil spill in the Salish Sea would be a good thing for the economy because of the impact, the positive impact that it would have on the GDP. This is the kind of proponent that we're talking about. That's right, the amount of money that was spent. And it got hysterical this week. It got hysterical. Basically, the BC government has said that they want to refer a question to the courts. There's nothing illegal about referring anything to the courts. That's what needs to happen. If you have a question that needs to be answered, they invited the feds. They invited Alberta to be a part of that. They both turned them down. The question was basically what regulatory authority does the provincial government have on product that could potentially damage the environment? That process is going on. It resulted in Alberta putting a ban on BC wine illegally, and then eventually, when we said we're going to refer it to the court, when the government said they were going to refer the question to the court, Alberta said that's okay. Okay, that's good. That's a good process. Then on last Sunday, Kinder Morgan said we're going to stop all work, all non-essential work, and then that's when the hysteria started. And this week it's been, it was an interesting week in question period, and that's kind of where we're at. This Sunday, Premier John Horgan's been invited to Ottawa to meet with the Prime Minister and the Premier of Alberta, and they're going to have a conversation. And I think that it is, I think that it's the next step in this.
What about our own provincial investments in energy, and don't we need, is our province open to business with energy? Why are we in investments? And
I think that
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We need to make sure that we are sending the right signals to the marketplace, that we're attracting the kind of business that we need for a low carbon economy. There was just a question about whether or not John Horgan should note to the Premier of Alberta and the Prime Minister if they should upgrade and refine the product in Alberta. And the question that we're asking, and again, I think that there's a lot of people that have been answering not the question that's being asked. They've been saying it's about rail or it's about pipelines. The question that British Columbia is asking is about whether or not we have the ability to regulate against a product that could damage our environment and protect the interests of British Columbians. And what's ironic about this discussion is that it's essentially exactly the same argument that Alberta's making. Is that they're saying we should be able to ship our product to British Columbia without them having any say. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So basically, I think that we need to have refining capacity. I am not. I don't believe that we're going to move off of the fossil fuel economy immediately. That we're going to need fossil fuels in the meantime as we move towards a low carbon economy. Upgrading and refining is an important part of the process. One that we're not doing. I'm fundamentally have a big problem with us just taking our natural resources and shipping them raw.
You've said that about other resources, like our wood. Why we're stripping and shipping, and we're losing out so much in our province, in our country.
That's right. I mean, we used to have to go to wood. I mean, we used to have a capacity in here to mill and to turn to pulp, and now fiber is just leaving our province in its rawest form. And we do not have to be the resource colony of the colonial resource colony like we started. We can actually envision for ourselves a better future, a more diversified, more resilient economy, more sustainable economy than just being, the Crown's resource colony. Strip it and ship it for the benefit of somebody else. I got some likes and some hearts on that one. Let's so basically, I'm just going to end with this. I think that this is just an investment play by Kinder Morgan. I don't think that they've been able to raise the money that they wanted to raise. They've been unsuccessful in that. And now they've imposed this deadline. And what it's done is it's got Alberta and Canada freaking out. And now they've proposed that they're going to buy it. Come on. The levels of corporate welfare in this province and in this country, and we're going to get to the next one, are unbelievable. And that's true, Bill. You are absolutely right. We're not talking about that, though. That's not the fact. So the comment, I recognize there's going to be people watching this. The comment was that there is refinery capacity in Northwest Washington, and there's a huge tanker traffic from Alaska that now exists. I agree with that. I think people around agree with that. What we're talking about when it comes to the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion project is whether or not it's responsible for us to expand and build a new pipeline in 2018. Let's focus on the question. That, I think, with all due respect, Bill, is a deflection from what were actually the question that British Columbians and Canadians were asked. And I think that it's legitimate for us to say, I don't know that for us to have the conversation about what the question is. And that is expansion of a pipeline. Just my thoughts on that.
Just to get it to market.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at, we're I don't know, we're going to get to all of this.
Oh.
Maybe, should we talk about LNG? You know what? I'll do this. I'll say this, because we've talked a long time on this issue. Or maybe I've talked a long time on this issue.
Huge issue, though. That's been the major.
It's a major issue
this week.
Yeah. This you can read more. A very good article. It's in the description below by Andrew Nikiforuk, who's been writing about this. It's from the Tyee, and you can get his perspective on it. I think that he does a pretty good job of putting the alternative ideas out to the CAP rhetoric, the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers. You can read that article. I think we should have a fulsome discussion and not just be repeating the CAP rhetoric that we've been hearing in the news. And also on my Facebook page, Andrew does a pretty good job. Andrew Weaver does a pretty good job on a BNN story. So check that out in the description below. Mm-hmm. And we were going to talk LNG.
Okay.
The work that we did in LNG, but let's skip that.
Okay. And go into the task force.
You can see the work that we did in a blog post that I've got also in the description. The link is in the description below.
Mm-hmm. And lots of information on your website too, with blogs, articles. Your website is becoming quite dynamic with everything you're putting on it. Your videos from when you speak in the legislature, your articles and blogs. There's a wealth of information on Adam's website already in this short period of time that you've been an MLA.
Yeah,
I really like to communicate and get the information out there so people are informed.
Well, I came to this job as a representative, stating clearly that I wanted to set a different kind of tone for a representative, to be in communication, to put myself, to be available, to be accountable, to be transparent, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I don't hide anything that I do as your representative. And we're going to have good discussions, we're going to have debates, we're going to agree and we're going to disagree, but I am always going to fight like heck. They said don't say the HE word. I'm going to fight like heck for Saanich North and the Islands. Okay, where are we at?
We're at,
Kathy says. What does Kathy says?
Rental housing.
Right.
There we go. Good job, Kathy. That is the next thing.
She's keeping us on track.
Yeah, she heard your intro and knew that was going to be on it. So we're going to have to skip right to that. The rental housing task force that you are on now. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So last week I got Spencer Shander Herbert calls me. He's a Vancouver West End MLA, and he's been appointed as the special advisor to the Premier on rental housing, and asked me if I'd join him and Rona Ray Leonard from Courtney Comox, another NDP MLA, the three of us on the rental housing task force.
Mm-hmm. You heard a lot from the constituency when we held the community dialogue on housing last October. So you heard from the islands, from the peninsula, so you got a really good idea of constituents' concerns.
It's a huge issue. Yeah. We heard a lot about the speculation tax a couple weeks ago. A massive issue, and man, it's the complexity of it. A big part of the reason why I agreed to join the task force isn't because I have a lack of things to do. I don't. That's not a problem. But it's because, it's these big, wicked problems that we have that need solving. And I have a tendency of kind of running into the sun rather than running away from it. And so it was one of these things where I realized that the challenges on the Gulf Islands, the challenges here on the Saanich Peninsula, it's local, it's provincial. I'm being invited to take part in it. Why not jump in 2 feet, figure out how deep the pool is in a few weeks as we start to work it out. But basically, the Premier's given us carte blanche, very, very wide berth to land in.
So will you be looking just at tenants' rights or landlords as well? What's the focus going to be?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Laura, because this isn't. I think that a lot of the criticism of the government is that the former government they looked too much at landlord rights, and some of the criticism of this government is that they're looking too much at tenant rights. I think that we're not going to solve the rental housing issue anywhere in our riding or in the province until we start to deal with it as a problem that both landlords and tenants are facing. And that, for the most part, people are good landlords and good tenants. And the very, very small majority of tenants are bad tenants and landlords are bad landlords. But nonetheless, we've got to figure out ways to encourage landlords to rent long-term to people, because there's 1.5 million reasons for us to do that, and that's the number of renters in our province.
Wow. That's a lot.
And if they can't be housed, then the entire agenda, I was just reading Roy's comment, sorry, the entire fabric of our society is weakened when we don't have enough rental housing stock.
Yeah.
And as Bill says, yeah, that's right. It must be attractive. We must find ways to incent landlords. We must and to have their housing, the units that they have in the market. There's no question about it. So it's complex. It's a wicked problem. And I look forward to working with Spencer and Ron Ray on dealing with it this summer. We'll do it this summer.
And is there what's the time period? When do you have to report?
Fall. I think basically we haven't got together yet. We're going to get together probably in the next week or so. Have a discussion about what we're going to do, what the program's going to look like, who we're going to meet with, how we're going to meet people, and then there'll be more information on that. And Spencer's going to lead the charge, and I can't wait to work with him. Spencer and I get along really, really well. Good man for the job, and look forward to working with him and Ron Ray on it.
That's terrific.
Yeah,
that's great.
So where are we at?
Well,
we're just about done.
Yeah, we have seven minutes.
No, we're 3 minutes overtime if we're trying to go with a 20-minute.
Oh,
we started at 4:30 tonight.
Hour.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's all right. I think we're doing pretty good though. I think that we should circle back around and talk about the LNG file next week. I think that we should talk about it because there's some really, I think people need to ask some very, very serious questions about the LNG policy that the current provincial government has adopted almost entirely and made worse from the last government. But we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, that is a big issue. Some people are asking some other questions, just wild salmon fish farms from Daniel.
So wild salmon, we're meeting on Friday in Vancouver with a number of stakeholder groups, First Nations, commercial, environmental, conservation, habitat restoration groups, a wide variety of them. In Vancouver, we've got a room working with the Pacific Salmon Foundation. They've been fantastic. We're consulting with them about what a wild salmon secretary or commissioner could look like. And we're going to be taking that information back to government. I met with government quite a bit on that. Actually, I've had quite good access and believe that they mean what they say when it comes to wild salmon. And now we're going to continue to take steps forward.
It's one of the issues that's very near and dear to your heart.
Yeah. Well, it's right here on my wedding ring. So, the salmon. What else do we have coming up here?
Oh my goodness, lots going on. I think it's just look how many people are engaged here and asking questions. That's terrific.
Bill Burns says one topic a week. Yes, it's probably a good idea. Maybe I should talk less and have... Anyway, I don't know. We're still working this out. It's still a lot of fun.
What episode is this? 9.
9.
We're
Just
still
imagine.
learning. Yeah.
And if you look, I put 009, which means I intend on having at least 999 episodes. Thank you, Bill, for your comments.
Just a little wow face on that one.
Okay, so I think that's about good for this week. We are run a little bit over time. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for engaging us. One more point to what Mr. Burns just said there about agreement in politics. I represent 50,000 people. I represent 50,000 differences of opinion. There's two differences of opinion on issues right here. Sitting at the table, there's differences of opinion. 4 of them sitting at my dinner table. There might be 2 differences of opinion sitting at your dinner table. We'll see. Thomas is... Anyway.
But if we're open, and hear from all sides and make the best decisions going forward, imagine where we'd be in this.
Well, we just have to. We just do it respectfully, and we always commit. I always commit to continuing the conversation and learning from those conversations. So it's much less about agreeing and disagreeing. It's much more about being open and listening, as you said. So, thank you very much for joining us this week. Were these topics that we talked about the biggest topics for you in BC politics? I know that they were. Kinder Morgan was certainly the biggest topic for a lot of people in BC politics. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are. I like to circle back around and answer some of the questions that we weren't able to get to online. Thank you, Laura, for joining me today. I'm sorry that I got a bit ranty today. I think feedback they'd say don't rant so much. Was about Kinder Morgan, though.
I don't think I'd call it ranting. You're just passionate.
I am passionate.
Should we show these?
Let's show these. So this was the Public Circle Live. Maybe you didn't have to show that one. If you want to get a hold of us, you can. It's adamolsen.ca is my website. As Laura was saying, there's a lot of information about that, about what our work. adam.olsen.mla@ledge.bc.ca is the email address. If you've got questions, concerns, suggestions, ideas, or if you just want to say hi to Ryan Clayton, who works at the front desk, you can send us an email. He does a great job.
Oh, he does. He's right on it. He clears out the inbox and he gets tons of email.
I have an amazing team, from Aldous to Ryan to yourself. I feel so loved in the work that I do, so thank you for that.
It's a pleasure to see you work in action. I've known you for a while, and we know that you worked in between campaigns, and you're just so excited to be in this job, and
I
it
love
shows.
it.
It shows.
Best job I've ever had. 250-655-5600 is the phone number if you want to call our office. You can visit our office Monday to Friday, 10 to 4, Monday to Friday, at 215-2506 Beacon Avenue in beautiful Sidney by the Sea. Anything else, pop over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. This video will be up on my YouTube channel later, and you can check it out again there. Maybe you are watching it later on the YouTube channel, and if so, thank you very much. Thank you for watching our show today. I put everything I do on the website again, so please go visit it there. And we will be back again for episode 10 next week, 4:30, Friday, just like every week. I'll be shooting it from Vancouver next week, actually. So, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. We always say at the end of these shows, we say...
Haekwa.
Haekwa.